Hi there, this is Outdoor Gear Chat. We are on episode 16 and we're talking kit list for the Spine race, sponsored by the lovely people at Montaigne. I'm joined as always by Kathy. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, Wayne. Thanks very much. I'm Kathy, owner and co-director of the Climber Shop in Ambleside and Joe Brown Shops in Snowdonia. And we are joined today by a runner who has actually, I think, one of the coolest hashtags that I've come across, Run DMC, Debbie Martin-Consani, who ran for the first time in the Spine race in 2020, wrote an extremely humorous blog, I might add. Thoroughly enjoyed reading that, but then came back in 2022 and won the women's race. So welcome. Well, first of all, congratulations, Debbie, and
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the invite.
So does Wayne, by the way. He's been really looking forward to this.
I am beyond excited. I was trying to think about when we first met, and I think it was at a chat for the Lakeland 50 and the Lakeland 100 when Marco was doing a bit of a chat.
Yeah, I think there was definitely Lakeland involved in it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then this is completely going off track, but I was doing some work for another outdoor brand recently, and in Ambleside, one of us nearly got hit by a bus running across the road, shouted excitedly.
Yeah, I was waiting in the bus stop and you went by and I had one of those mornings. I was like, Wayne! And then we both ran across like, hi! And then we realised we were probably standing in the middle of the road.
There's a double decker in the way. Yeah, brilliant. So anyway, that's a complete aside. I want to get in there with a first insightful, in-depth journalistic question. Everyone's asking after the photographs from the Spine, who does your teeth?
Who does my teeth?
They're so white. It's amazing. And look at the smile.
I've actually just before I came on this call, I had like toast and peanut butter and banana, and the toast had like seeds in it. And I was like, before I pressed Zoom, I was like checking my teeth. Yeah, I just yeah, I think
that's thrown you right off, hasn't it? Unusually, it is in the photographs. Your teeth are gleaming, even in the ones where you look a bit more money.
I can't even remember the name of it. This is like the most bizarre question I've ever been asked, to be honest. Is it Eusamil? It's like the pink toothpaste that smells like Germaline.
Yeah.
Right.
So I always use that, and there was a couple of years ago where they stopped making it, and I had to go to like those really dodgy pharmacies, back road pharmacies that had stock, and I would go and buy it up. But yeah, I swear by that stuff.
Well, excellent. There might be more questions along those lines as we go through, but tell us about the Spine race though, because for those who are listening who don't know what it's all about, what is it? Give us a brief.
Top line. The Spine race, the winter Spine race, is in January. It is 260 miles along the glorious Pennine Way, which is quite a hostile place even in the height of summer. There's various factors and elements that you have to deal with. It's non-stop, so the clock keeps ticking. You've got a week to finish it. You will have all types of weather. The underfoot conditions are treacherous.
They're just shocking, aren't they? Yeah.
Frustrating at the best of times. And then you have 16 hours of darkness to contend with, and self-navigation, and you have to carry all your kit. So I think even in isolation, any one of those elements would make an endurance event quite tough. But when you put them all together, that is the magic of the Spine race.
Yeah, really interesting word there, magic, because really,
I like to put a positive spin on things.
Yeah. Why would anybody in their right minds want to do it?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Nobody in their right mind would want to do it. I think people just want to do it because the event is based on reputation. You know, people want to do it because it is tough. Even like in the run up to the event, you know, if the weather looks quite favorable, then any other race you'd be like, oh please no wind, I don't want any rain and all that. Whereas in the Spine you feel somewhat cheated if you don't have the full authentic Spine experience. So yeah, I think it is like really it is a tough event, and you know the DNF rates and speak for themselves, and plus the amount of effort that you have to put in to get to the start line. So yeah, I mean, when I first did the race in 2020, I thought it was just going to be a week of absolute misery. And there is some, you go into the red quite a lot, and there is some really deep, dark points. But most of it is really good. Do you know, it's like you're just out on a personal journey. You forget you're in a race. You're not competing with anyone really apart from yourself. It's kind of one of those things where it's like your head versus your heart. That's all it is, rather than you being in the throes of the people round about you. It splits up quite quickly. So you do spend most of it by yourself. So it does feel like a proper personal adventure. And you just have to deal with things on the job. So you can train for it as much as you like, and you can prep as much as you like, but there's so many things that you will face that you'll never have dealt with before. Like the first year we had a named storm, and there's no way I would even be out, let alone up a hill with a full pack and all my kit in the dark in a named storm. So that was one of the things, you just have to learn with it and deal with it as you go. So yeah, I'm not sure anyone in their right mind would do it. But yeah, it takes a special kind of crazy to get you there, that's for sure. But I think anyone who's done it will just say, I know it sounds a bit woo-woo and a bit cliched, but it really does change you as a person. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Quite an experience, I think. Yeah, and just coming back to one of your points there, there's a complete contrast between you as an individual competitor, I think, as far as you being isolated, and everyone at home watching this amazing race panning out, thanks to the tracking, that audience participation bit is just incredible, and all the excitement going on as people are coming into checkpoints and potentially leapfrogging everyone. And I guess like Kathy, you were saying you were on the safety team a few years ago. Was that right, at Alston?
No, not the safety team. I just made lasagnas.
I love that.
How many lasagnas I made at Alston checkpoint.
Yeah. But that when you're engrossed in that, you're just doing a job as well, aren't you? To keep the competitors moving. But from an audience perspective, the guys at Open Tracking, who do still do, don't they? James Thurlow, they've done an amazing job of creating this thing where people can watch and see what's going on. And I guess we'll come on to the kit list in a minute, but there are those conditions that you say that have resulted in, like Montaigne making a specific jacket just for the event, and there's a competition later on, isn't there? But what was on your kit list then? What sort of kit did you take?
Well, the mandatory kit list for the spine is quite extensive. I think it's
17 pages.
Is it that long?
Someone actually said, it is a very extensive and very specific kit check. I always think like part of the ordeal is getting through kit check, because it's so stressful. Like you really need to do your homework. You can't just turn up with any old kit, which might do and it might work for you, but it might not get you through kit check. And if you don't get through kit check, you don't get a race number. And if you're standing there late Saturday afternoon in Edale, you don't really have many options to go and buy stuff as well. So you have to be really meticulous about the kit, and you've got to carry it all as well. And, I'm not a giant, so I had to make sure that the stuff that I was carrying was super light. Unfortunately, that also means super expensive. And also would save my life should I get stuck up Crossfell in a storm. So yeah, I mean, the kit, you've got to have normal things like full waterproofs, and then base layers and all the standard stuff, but you also need a sleeping bag and a sleeping mat and a waterproof bivvy and a stove and a pot and waterproof mat, everything right down to the minute, meticulous. And I would say I didn't use about 90% of it. I had no intentions of using any of it, but obviously because I was okay, but if something had happened, I would have needed that to basically save my life. So yeah, it is quite extensive, that is for sure.
Yeah, and quite a few of my friends that have done the event have said you need to get yourself out of a frame of mind. It's not a race; it's an expedition. It is that you are going to do it as an expedition, and you need, like you say, you need everything to be able to survive, so that a safety team can get to you, because it's that remote in patches, isn't it? It's just,
I mean, you've got to take in the factor of like you know, you've got a heavy pack, way more than you would ever use. But also the terrain and the ground that you're moving across is also really slow and arduous. Like, you don't go anywhere fast on the Pennine Way, even if you were just in a waste belt. So there's various factors that you have to take into account, that you're not moving very fast. You know, there's not a whole lot of running going on the Pennine Way. You know, there's a lot of mud, there's a lot of bogs, there's a lot of farmland, you know, those flagstones that have a nice layer of ice and then water on top of it, and, you know, a lot of darkness. So you don't have that same trajectory where you're just moving at a speed. So you have to factor in the fact that you probably need extra layers because you're not moving as fast. It is cold, it is dark, and you haven't slept for about 4 nights. So yeah, you've got to take in, like, what you need, the kit on the first day might be different from what you need on the 4th day. And you have to factor in, you know, the weather as well. So some of the days, like the first couple of days, there was a lot of snow and ice and rain, whereas later on in the week it was sunny and it was beautiful. It was really nice days. But you're really tired, and you're probably not taking in as much calories as well. So that still affects you. So although it might look like shorts and t-shirt weather when you're looking at the weather forecast, you know, it's still 4 or 5 degrees, and yeah, the fatigue has really kicked in. So you still need to have that warmth because you're not generating enough energy.
Yeah, and you're exposed as well, isn't it? It's just, there is no hiding on the Pennine Way, no matter where you are, really, is there? It's just, every time I've been on it, it's been grim. It's just been rank. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so thankful, like, in the first year that I had the opportunity to go down and spend a few days there, because it just gets you in that different mindset. You know, that talk about it's a personal challenge, it's not a race. But I think, like, I've never been on any kind of terrain where you move that slowly, but you're still, you know, it still requires a lot of effort. But if you're doing like 3 miles an hour on the Pennine Way or in the Spine Race, you know, you're right at the front of the field. Whereas everyone just thinks, oh, you've got to be moving at 9-10 minute mile in, and you're seriously not anywhere near that.
No chance. Yeah, no matter how fast you are normally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And going back to the mental side of things, that's obviously huge as well, because I was watching at the checkpoint in between lasagna cooking. There were kit checks as well at checkpoints, and there were runners disqualified because they'd come in without a piece. I can't remember what the terminology is, but there's kit that you have to carry, isn't there? There's mandatory kit. And I think probably they'd just been so tired they'd forgot to put it in. So they got all the way from the Peak District to Alston, basically pretty much tip of Cumbria, Northumberland, and were disqualified because they hadn't got that key bit of kit with them, which you just sort of watch that at 4 o'clock in the morning, somebody being told after coming over Cross Fell, you know, that's it, that's your race over. It's it's a real, I hadn't really appreciated the mental aspect of it, you know, as an endurance race, and having all of those potential penalties and the stress of all those potential penalties as well was it was incredible to see. I mean, it really just frankly cemented my ethos that if anybody ever sees my name on the start line of the Spine Race, to perform some kind of intervention because something very, very bad has happened.
To be fair, Kathy, I also said that, so
See, this is how you get hooked into these events.
Yeah,
so it really is.
It is. Just going on to the kit, I mean, I think it has changed over the years, and the race probably evolves the rules probably evolve as the race does. And I think the last few years they've got like a red, amber, green or something like that maybe. So there's different time penalties for different kits. So obviously if you don't have a sleeping bag, that's like almost an instant disqualification. Whereas like there's other things, I think they appreciate people do drop things accidentally, and for, you know, when your brain is fried, and you know, I spent so much time like faffing and checkpoints because you do get so worried that you don't actually have the kit. But I think this time they do kit checks when you leave the checkpoint, when your bag is ready, just to make sure that you do have everything when you leave, rather than something when you arrive at a checkpoint. So yeah, they make sure all your bag is completely packed and your duffel bag's away, so you can't go, oh, oh, I've got that, but it's in that bag. So unfortunately, they know that the things that you're likely to forget are going to be buried at the bottom of your rucksack. So they'll always ask for something that's sort of once you've packed it. But they do it for everyone, and they always choose like sleeping mat or bivvy or something that is not going to be used, because they know that's the things that people would forget. But I don't think anyone would purposely try to be about it. And in the race, the race organizers are not trying to trick people or catch people out. They're doing it because they need people to be safe.
Yeah, it's a matter of safety, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I think they like to add things on every year just to mix it up a little bit. I think this year they've got to have some pooper scooper or something. I don't know. People are posting pictures of
like a trowel. Yeah.
I mean, what is that for?
To bury it.
Burying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they add things on just to keep it a little bit interesting. But yeah, Trowelgate seems to be the latest conversation on their Facebook page.
Bonkers. Yeah, because they'll be going for minimal trowels. Yeah. Take a titanium trowel with you. So what was your favourite item then? What was your favourite piece of kit? What was?
Probably the spine jacket. I know that sounds like the obvious, but it does what it says on the tin. I had the original spine jacket, which came out a few years ago, which was probably it was rock solid. Nothing was going to get through that jacket. Obviously it was tested and built specifically for the spine race. And then they superseded that with the fleet jacket, which I also have. But the new spine jacket, I wax lyrical about this all the time. It's it's a phenomenal bit of kit. And if you've come across it, it's so light, and I've tried it out in some really testing conditions, and like, it's bulletproof, nothing gets through it, but it's not like boiling a bag, so you're not sweating to death inside it. It's like super light. But yeah, it's an amazing bit. I mean, I don't really know the specs and the techie geeky stuff. Wayne, you look like a techie geeky kind of like.
I might look at that. I'm not, to be honest. No, I was just having a quick.
I'm sure someone will be like, "Oh, this will be
yeah.
micro something, yada yada," and I don't really know. I just know it's a really nice color.
It's really interesting you saying that, because colour is always extremely important to how well you function in any endurance race. We all know that. But our Ambleside shop manager, Chris Wharton, ran the spine race in 2019, and he's done both the Northern and Southern Challenges as well. So just before we came on air, I called him and said, like, what's your favourite piece of kit that you always take with you on each event? And he said exactly the same as you, without even drawing breath. That's a really easy one. It's the spine jacket, because of all the lightweight jackets. And there are jackets available that are lighter than the spine jacket. But because it is made from 3-layer Gore Active, it is much more durable. And if you're doing an endurance event, you're always going to be carrying a race pack. So you need a garment that is going to be able to withstand that just perpetual abrasion of sort of that continual movement, and the added breathability of the Gore Active as well, and its ability to push that moisture away from your body and out into the atmosphere. It just sets it apart, basically. So it's great.
I mean, I've recommended it to quite a few people as well, and I always feel like people are like, yeah, you're just a little bit biased, which I probably am, to be honest. But anyone who has gone through and bought it is like, it's in a league of its own. That is for sure. It's just it's a really great bit of kit, and I'm sure like the updated version of it was only out last year, so I'm not sure what your colleague had used, whether it was the old style one, but the new one it's heads and shoulders above even the original as well. It's really been evolved and developed, and it's a brilliant bit of kit, for sure.
I've got the new one. I've been using that, and it takes quite a lot for me, very long in the tooth when it comes to performance waterproofs. I have to say, I've been in the industry too long.
Well, that's good.
Been really impressed with it. It's been super.
Awesome. And I was just going to say, I think it was developed from was it the Air or the Aero jacket? I had one of those years ago, and that was just withstood absolutely everything. It was just like I say, phenomenal piece of kit. Is there any items that you've adapted specifically for the spine, Debbie? Is there anything that any bits of kit that you've sewn stuff on or locked stuff off?
Yeah, I mean, the Gecko pack, I changed the straps on it because the straps are quite thin. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I felt like they were just a little bit flimsy, and the clips, when you've got cold hands, I really struggle with clips. And I learned the mistake last year when I was going up Hike Up Nick and I was in the snow and my gloves were soaking wet and my hands were just like freezing, and I left everything too late. And then my head torch went out and I couldn't get my pack off to get my head torch or gloves, and my hands just, so I find that anything that's small and footery, which I guess in any other time you would want it to be quite small, so I actually just swapped in like the top clips for a thing that I bought on Amazon for about £5. So it was like your old-fashioned rucksack style clips. You know, if you talk about your hill walking packs that you used to get like 20-30 years ago, it was quite similar to something like that. So I just swapped in those clips. They're just a little bit more robust. Yeah. Especially when there's so much weight in your pack. I mean, these packs are obviously designed for running, but the weight that's involved in it, and I just felt it just pulled the pack up a little bit higher up on my shoulders, and rather than the weight all sinking to the bottom of my back.
And which one did you go for, Debbie? Which size were you running in? Was it the 12 litre? 20 it was, 20. Yeah. Because you are the poster girl on the Gecko pack collection, unsurprisingly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it can only be you. Yeah, it's you can't see your teeth in it, but it's definitely.
I need to do a sunrise. I must have missed that cameraman.
Yeah, I think it looks like a summer picture, but on the side. But anyway, yeah, because there's a full range, isn't there? Like, but yeah, I guess back.
Yeah, I do have them all from like right from the 5 all the way up. I don't know if you would get everything in the 20. You would need to have like a waist pack and various other things. And to be honest, I couldn't be bothered with so many connecting things. I had like a waist belt. I had like the naked waist belt, which I've worn for about 3 or 4 years, like daily. I love it. But I mostly just put my phone, and I just got a pole attachment on it as well. But just like a couple of bars and my phone, because I didn't want my phone exposed to any kind of cold conditions. So if it's at my waist, then it's warm. And and I put like a couple of battery packs in the back of that. So I didn't really want to go with like additional waist belts or different attachments. I wanted everything in that pack, and it fitted perfect. But as I say, you know, I had to spend a small fortune getting everything so small. But yeah, my pack was quite compact, but I saw smaller. So, and I don't know how that's
really? Yeah, no way. I thought you were going to say the opposite, because I only did the Challenger event, but I had a huge Arn rucksack on my. Yeah, it was. I think it was 20 litres plus chest pouches and everything as well. So it was a big up. But obviously, I'm like twice the size of you as well. So I am a giant. But yeah, I was going to say the packs for this event are very, very different from the race vests that you'd use in something like the Lakeland 50, the Lakeland 100, or those shorter events. He says, laughing away to himself. And we'll have more news on the Lakeland 50 and the 100 shortly as well. Actually, we'll have another podcast coming up. But yeah, sorry. What high points and low points? I'm quite conscious of time, because we could spend hours talking, couldn't we? But yeah,
I could spend hours talking.
Well, yeah. What high points and low points have you got of the event?
I think going up Hike Up Nick on the Tuesday night, I talked about how I got myself there last time and I was in a bit of a state, and I was in a bad way coming off Hike Up Nick. So when I got there on Tuesday night and the sun was setting and it was just like a beautiful evening, beautiful sky, I was so happy. I was in such a good place mentally. So that was definitely the highest point. I'd also, like, when I went into the lead on Monday lunchtime, I wasn't prepared for any of that at any point in the race, let alone on Monday lunchtime. So I spent a lot of time like stressing out about it, because I hadn't really prepared to be in that position. So I find myself flapping about it and thinking, like, overthinking things and almost like changing my race strategy. And I think going up Hike Up Nick, I had to have like a serious chat with myself. Like I was talking to myself out loud and swearing at myself.
Is that not normal? I do that on a fairly frequent basis.
Yeah, exactly. I do that on a 5K, let alone on something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. Market aisle.
Yeah, I think that was probably the highest point. The lowest point was coming off Crossfell when I'd only had about 20 minutes sleep, and I was on my third night, and I was not in a good way. I was just utterly exhausted. The fatigue had just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was really icy and foggy, and trying to navigate in the fog and the ice with a fried brain was not pleasant. But that was when I went into Alston. I need to say Alston because I pronounced it on a lot of podcast Alston, and I think the locals were horrified. So Alston. When I went into there, and I had some of their lovely veggie lasagna. The lasagna is also a highlight of the week. And I had a couple hours sleep there. I actually set my alarm for an hour and woke up and fell back asleep, and woke up an hour later, and I was absolutely raging with myself.
Oh no!
But
really?
I needed it, to be honest. And I think everything works out the way it's meant to be. So
yeah, I think that's the standout thing of events like this for me is sleep. I am absolutely in awe of you for that, because I am useless. I can't function without one night's sleep, let alone 6 or 7. It's just for those who are going that long. It's just, how you function on any level as a human being is just beyond me, to be honest.
I think it's kind of different though, because like I'm a solid 8 hours sleep kind of gal. I just like, I'm in bed for like 10 o'clock every night. I'm like fall apart. I stress out if I'm still awake at 10:15. It's a different kind of thing because you've got so much adrenaline. You're in an event. You have no idea what day of the week it is. So it's different because you're in that situation. Whereas there's no way that I would go to sleep for 20 minutes and then wake up feeling great. So
yeah, it's bounce different. Along, right? Only another 100 miles to go. Let's have it.
Exactly. So it is different. It is, but it's just, it plays with your sleep for like, it's only like the last 2 weeks or something that I've kind of got back into a sleep pattern, because it knocked me for 6 for like a good 2 or 3 weeks afterwards as well.
And now we're talking, when at the point of recording, we're at the end of February, so that's a good old while it's taken you to. That's some serious jet lag, isn't it? Yeah. And what I've got to talk. I'm leading the conversation somewhere. What did you wear on your hands? It's not another joke. I'm not going that way.
I wore a kind of variety of different gloves depending on what the conditions were like. So I don't actually know the name of them. I probably should have looked that up. I'm a big fan of the Prism mitts. I think they are by far the best gloves that you can get. But I need to be quite cold to wear them. Like I always like, and there's Montane have got like liner gloves. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're super, super thin.
Yeah.
And I wear them all the time because sometimes I just need a layer of protection rather than something to keep my hands warm. So I wear them quite a lot, and sometimes wear them under gloves. But the mitts are by far, considering how compact they are.
That was exactly where I wanted to go. Just saying the Prism mitt and the Prism glove are just I bought 3 or 4 pairs of them, I think, for that reason. And then I've got they were the Extreme mitt, I think they were, that I bought. I don't know whether they're the same now, but there's a fleece lined one, and then a fully waterproof, windproof one. Sorry, Kathy, go on.
I think that's the Minimus mitts. I think the Power Shield, Perspex Power Shield, which is brilliant fabric, and they're just ideal because they keep the water off, keep the water out, and the wind as well, which is certainly for me, my finger circulation's just diabolical these days, so I do have to be really
I think
careful.
It's hard when you're using poles as well, because your hands do not have that freedom to get the blood to circulate, so your hands do get a little bit colder as well. I'm a big fan of the mitts for sure.
And that, I think the Prism range is I've got the coat, the vest, the like the gilet, if you will, the mitts, the gloves. I think they're just brilliant pieces.
But just as a shout out to Primaloft, because it's Primaloft silver insulation that's used inside the Prism products, which is made from recycled plastic bottles. So
oh,
since,
really?
2020, the Primaloft have kept about 430 million plastic bottles out of landfill in the sea. So basically, they take the bottles, they turn them into little, grind them down into little pieces, and then those little pieces they turn into filaments, and that's what goes into your clothing or your insulation in your gloves and your
But there you go. We're basically saving the world as well, Wayne.
I know that's phenomenal.
What's not to love?
I know. I mean, so much.
Buy
Only one
more-
pair of gloves.
Exactly, buy more gloves as a result. So we're just over 5 minutes remaining. Is it what's standout memories have we got of 2022? Is that moment at a high cup Nick, or is it the veggie lasagna?
I think the overall experience, like, I thought it would be tougher to go back the second time around because, like, I've already got that finish under my belt, and I thought it would be harder to pull myself out those really dark places. And regardless of how well your race is going, you're going to hit like rock bottom numerous times along the way. And I thought it would be harder to pull myself out because I'd be like, I've done this. What have I got to do? And it was actually easier because I found I was more accepting and less frustrated about things that came up. So I think for me, my overall experience was quite joyful. Like, I was mostly really happy and content the whole time.
It's just such an alien concept.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, but it was.
You massive weirdo. You massive weirdo. Yeah.
Thanks. And I think because, like, in 2020 when we got hit by that storm, and that was, if you use that as a benchmark for life, then the fact that you're going out and it's a wee bit snowy and it's a wee bit rainy and there's a bit of a breeze, the fact that you're not actually getting blown off your feet at 80-mile-per-hour winds is so maybe I did use that as the benchmark in which I was kind of comparing events. I mean, there was some real cracking low points, but overall I really loved it. I absolutely did. I mean, the last day when I had my problems with my back, I don't really want to experience that again, and I'd be quite thankful if I never see Crossfell ever again.
You've ruined my final question, which was about the lean. About that was is the high point not the photograph of you on an angle like the Leaning Tower of Pisa?
No, that's really not the high point at all. I said, just like, I know that finishing video and I can't watch it. It's just,
I can imagine. It makes you wince, doesn't it? Yeah.
I just remember how that felt, and in my head I was actually standing up straight because I was forcing myself to stand up. So I don't even know why it happened. And when I look back at the videos and photos and stuff, it happened a way before I thought it was happening.
Right.
And so someone pointed it out to me, and then it was spotted at a checkpoint, and then the medics followed me everywhere because they thought it was like rhabdo, and I thought I was having a stroke, and nothing was just. And I think it was just mostly the weight of the pack. So on the Cheviot, I kept taking my pack off and lying down, and that really relieved it. Right. But it definitely was uncomfortable, and it got significantly worse going over the Cheviot. So the last 8 miles, I was an absolute mess, and I thought I was going to have to DNF with a half a mile to go coming into town.
Wow.
I couldn't even get up the final little hill. I was in such a state.
Oh my word.
So it's kind of like hard to for over the Cheviots, but specifically the last 10-15 miles were. But I knew I had to just get on with it. Plus, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You've got
exactly. Yeah, you might as well just keep going.
I think if that had happened the day before, that would have been like game over. There's just, but I think because when it happened and where it happened, I knew I could have to suck it up and get on with it.
Yeah, unreal. And a big shout out as well to a huge amount of organisation and the safety teams and all the volunteers. All the checkpoints are run by volunteers, aren't they? And the energy in them was just astonishing.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's just like the people are just so kind and they give up so much of their time. So nutters like me can do stupid things in the middle of winter.
It was tremendous to sort of be part of helping people achieve dreams, basically. It was a real hands-on. It was a fantastic experience. It's quite traumatic. But
I bet you. I saw some feet and I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Dear God.
It's really good. But I'm gonna just say to everybody listening now, you're obviously talking with us, Debbie. It's been fantastic having you with us. But we are actually running a competition in conjunction with Montaigne to win. There's one men's spine jacket up for grabs and one women's spine jacket up for grabs. And all those details will be available from the 7th of March on our website at www.climbers-shop.com.
Great, that's a great prize.
Yeah,
it's a
awesome.
great prize. That is a great prize, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
would highly recommend the women's kind of coral color one because it goes really nice for my poles and my shoes.
But then they'll need your poles and your shoes as well.
No, but they should just buy it while they're in the shop, really.
Oh yes, I like your thinking.
Well, quickly, what poles do you use?
Oh, I use the micro Lecky micro,
Oh,
whatever they're called. Yeah, they're really good. I've used them quite a few times now, and they're quite robust. They've been through the wars, that's for sure. Yeah, they're great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you so much.
It's
really nice to speak to you both, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. And that was Outdoor Gear Chat, sponsored by Montaigne. That was episode 16. Do you want to sign off, Kathy? We've got...
Yeah, there's more information available on our web shop at climbers-shop.com and also at our joebrownOutdooracademy.com.